2 minutes now for the cross-examination.
Yes. Hello, Miss Rhea. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, are you aware that imperialism was the main reason for national patrimony?
Yes.
Then you must be aware that imperialism does not exist now. Are you aware of the doctrine that the reason
versus
this is my time, Ms. Speaker. Please listen to me.
Okay, exposition.
Are you aware?
Of
Just
why
give me a yes or no,
there
Mr.
is
Speaker.
national
Give me a yes or no, Mr. Speaker.
Historically, how
Are you aware of this doctrine that if the reason ceases to exist, then the law ceases to exist?
Are you aware right now that there are so many Filipinos who don't own land?
Ms. Speaker, I would not
national
proceed. Let me
patrimony is
proceed, Ms.
supposed to be
Speaker.
preserved.
Are you aware, because you mentioned earlier about Del Monte, so are you aware that even if Del Monte is here or has established here a business, despite that fact, we are still lagging behind other Southeast Asian nations when it comes to foreign investment. In fact, we remain to be $2.8 billion
Those are statistics, and each economy is distinct.
It is not enough. Now let me proceed.
Each
Have you
economy is
read,
distinct
Miss
from
Speaker,
each
please
other.
listen to me. This is my time. Have you read the report for the International Financial Law Review dated 2014?
Okay, Council, what's your point?
Okay, because it says that the main deterrent for foreign direct investment is the absence of the security of
There's only one rebuttal to that, China. If you say that the main deterrent
only
is
China,
one
Miss
come,
Speaker,
how come
but we have
there's
Thailand, Vietnam,
there's so
Singapore,
many encounters and Council?
foreigners, Miss Speaker, and Your Honors. Now let me proceed.
Yes, but are they the biggest economy right now? Everyone wants to be
now
with
let me
China
proceed.
right
This
now.
is my time, Speaker. It is your
it's not
position
mutually
that the
exclusive.
I need a yes or no. It is your position that our economy is already strong, right?
Yes.
And thus, you mean that there's no need for the foreigners to
I did not say that.
land.
In what imagination did that happen, Council? I did not say that.
You said
We
that
do
the
not need
economy is
foreigners.
already okay. You said that.
I did not say that foreigners.
Are you aware? Are you
aware?
aware that despite such, there's still not enough
Representing, it's time now for the second affirmative speaker. Stephen, you've got 4 minutes to tell us why it would be beneficial to allow foreign ownership of land.
Good evening, Your Honors. 3 points for rebuttal. Number one, prohibition against ownership of land does not exist in a vacuum. The main reason is imperialism. Imperialism does not exist. Second reason, the other council stresses and uses China as an example, but remember, that is not applicable here. China is a superpower. According to the study of Asian Development Bank of the Philippines, third world countries like the Philippines depend largely on foreign direct investment. And in the same study, Asian Development Bank, it says there that the main deterrent, not the only factor, the main deterrent for the absence of foreign direct investment and that we're lagging behind is because we do not allow foreign investors to own our land. Now for the benefits, ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 points. Number one, it is beneficial to let foreigners own land in the Philippines because one, it increases foreign direct investment. Number two, it puts a stop to the creation of dummy corporations. Number three, it improves and reinforces our standing before the international community. First point, Your Honors, allowing foreigners to own land in the Philippines increases our foreign direct investment. What does this mean? This means that companies do not only invest money in the Philippines, they also build bases, factories, and bring new technology. This means that our manufacturing industry will be the primary beneficiary of this change. Our IT BPO, for instance, industry. This means that foreign companies will bring technical know-how. Yes, Your Honor.
Speaker, are you saying that even agricultural lands can be bought by foreigners, and if they buy these agricultural lands, this multiplier effect that you are talking about can happen?
We say in the affirmative, Your Honor, by allowing out some of our agricultural lands to be bought, not only do foreigners invest in the Philippines, they will also bring the necessary capital that most of us Filipinos can't give, or the technology for growing crops and being a world-producing agricultural country for the entire world. For instance, Your Excellencies, Your Honors, in Singapore in 2012, Singapore has $56.65 billion worth of foreign direct investment. Indonesia has $19.62 billion in foreign direct investment. Malaysia has $10.9 billion. Vietnam has 9.2. While the Philippines, though they claim that we have Del Monte, only got $2.8 billion. So, in spite of that, the status quo tells us that the Philippines is seriously lagging behind. Second point, aside from increase in foreign direct investment, this will stop as you've seen in the video, this will stop the circumvention of the laws to dummy corporations. There's no need for foreigners to create a dummy corporation. They will be prompted to invest in our country more because there will be no fear of getting criminally prosecuted or being stopped from conducting business. Lastly, it is an international obligation of the Philippines to liberalize its trade policy. If we do this, there is a principle of reciprocity. We will give ourselves leverage to engage in business in other countries, Your Honors. The Philippines' credibility is based on its capacity to follow international obligation. All in all, we say in the affirmative side that allowing foreigners to own land is beneficial. Thank you, Your Honors.
2 minutes now for the cross-examination.
Good evening,
Good
Counsel.
evening, Miss.
The constitutional prohibition values our national patrimony, correct?
The reason
Correct.
values national patrimony.
That is
imperialism.
preservation for the use of the future generation,
I'm sorry.
correct?
I'm sorry.
That is for the preservation for the use of the future
The point
generation.
still
Yes
is
or
that
no,
it is
Counsel?
against
Yes or no,
imperialism.
Counsel?
Imperialism
This
is
is a very
wrong,
easy
but
question, and
the
take
law
that as a yes.
the law does not exist in a vacuum.
Counsel, this is
Yes,
a very
ma'am.
easy question. So, thirdly, precisely because of national patrimony, which includes land, is a scarce resource, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Being scarce, priority should be given to the Filipinos, correct?
Priority should be given to those who can utilize it well for the benefit of the Philippines.
That's why we have to equip our own people. That's why
That's why we are
what we
asking
have said
them,
a while ago.
foreigners, to bring
Moving forward,
technology,
are
bring
Filipinos
knowledge.
expected to observe these values of national patrimony? Yes or no?
It doesn't exist in a vacuum. We
Yes
need
or no? Can
to
you just
survive
answer my question,
economically.
sir?
We need to
This is
survive.
my time. Can you just answer my question? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It
and take that
states
as a yes.
or no answer.
In fact,
The
they
question
have
is
the duty as being the citizen to preserve these values.
the duty to let
Even,
people
Do
survive.
we share the same values with the foreigners? That we have to protect this kind
Now
of
we
national
see-
patrimony.
You see the same values permeating
Yes or no?
international
Just answer my
community. Yes.
question.
They want to survive. They want to thrive like us.
Okay, fine. Even if they are not expected to maintain the same sense of nationalism and allegiance to the country, you still believe that we share the same values?
What is needed? What is
Yes or
important
no,
is the need to
Counsel?
survive,
What is that?
thrive
Yes
as
or no?
an international
yes or,
village.
Yes, I'll take that as a yes. Given, do they have the option to leave our country?
They have the option.
Okay. Under the status quo, the foreigners can use our land under a
Question?
lease or a
Do you have a
license,
question?
correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Let us assume that these foreigners would abuse the land. The government can just terminate and the lease or revoke the license, correct?
Okay.
But under
And
the
so we have
concept of
parameters to
ownership,
protect against abusers. That's what we're correct.
Nice. You have 4 minutes now to rebut, Stephen, and advance your argument on why it would be beneficial to allow the foreign ownership of land in the country.
Your Honors, good evening. Not because it is rampant, meaning we have to legalize it or legitimate it. All the benefits that they have been talking about, economic advantage, technology sharing, are not mutually exclusive. In the status quo, that is already happening, even though we are not allowing ownership. That's why the proposition is not beneficial for two reasons. First, we are opening the gates to persons who have no duty to preserve the national patrimony. And second, we are allowing discrimination against Filipinos in our very own land. And that's my first argument. Foreign entities, juxtaposed to Filipino owners, have no inherent incentive to preserve our lands for the use of the future generation. Precisely, they do not owe allegiance to the Philippines. As such, they don't have the duty to protect the lands of our country and its national patrimony. Foreign investors can easily leave once they have already fulfilled their business and used our natural resources. Once they leave our country, we will have lesser power to fully enforce our laws against them or to hold them liable because they are no longer under our jurisdiction. This is exactly the evil sought to be avoided by the ironclad constitutional prohibition as stated in Crevenco case. Your Honor, let us be candid here. If all foreigners are keen on buying lands, they would do so not only for ornamental or aesthetic purposes, but rather they would buy lands in order to extract resources that can only be provided by Philippine lands, such as mineral or agricultural resources. Yes, Your Honor.
Don't you think that this can be regulated by the state?
Yes, Your Honor, we believe that there are regulations. But the more important part here is that we will not limit the capability of our own Filipino people to take ownership or to have their own lands as well as what will I explain later on. Yes, Your Honor.
Madam Witness, it's true that majority of the Filipinos live below the poverty line, and even if you open this ownership to Filipinos, they cannot buy these lands. So how can it be beneficial to the majority of the Filipinos when small number of Filipinos own majority of lands here in the Philippines?
Thank you, Your Honor. That's why Ms. Lumapas has already said a while ago that it is important for the government to equip our people as well to make sure that we can utilize these lands rather than just legitimizing or allowing foreigners to own our own land. Can I continue, Your Honor? Okay. Furthermore, purposes such as these require no less than full regulation and control by the state, something which cannot be done if you will allow ownership to persons whose interest is purely business in nature and bereft of any duty to preserve national patrimony. Under the present scenario, where foreigners are only allowed to lease or use lands by way of a license, the state can always revoke or disallow the use upon showing of any misuse or abuse. However, this will not happen under the proposition because the state cannot easily or always revoke or cancel ownership if it doesn't like how the owner uses the land. Precisely by ownership, the owner has unbridled discretion however he wants to use the land. Furthermore, this is what is going on in Gambela or Benishangul region in Ethiopia, particularly where search in land acquisition by foreign companies resulted to a number of concerns. Among them, the tendency of these foreign companies to overpower smallholder farmers and diminish the power of the state to police their activities. Second argument is we are allowing discrimination against Filipinos in our very own land.
2 minutes for the cross-examination.
Good evening again, Nice. I think you mentioned mineral lands, correct?
Yes.
And you know that we should not even talk of mineral lands because the proposition is limited to private lands, correct?
No.
No?
We're talking-
You think mineral lands is a private land? Can be a private land.
This is not only
Yes
about
or
the
no?
This is
That's
not
the
merely
proposition.
about the private
Okay.
lands that we are talking
Let's
about.
continue.
This is about how
Okay.
we use this
Yeah,
and
yes,
access
yes,
this.
nice. Yes,
Okay.
nice. Okay. You're saying that it's discriminatory even to open our lands to ownership of foreigners because this will discriminate against our people.
Ownership,
Right?
yes.
Yes. Okay. And you know that the major owners of lands in the Philippines are Del Monte, big companies, right? Not ordinary Filipinos. Correct.
They
Yes or
only
no?
have the access
No.
for use, but they are not the
You
owners
know
as
this.
well.
You know this, right? Del Monte,
What's your
Sumitomo.
point?
These are the people who own.
Okay, what's your
Okay.
point, Council?
In other words, there is even discrimination in this level, nice.
If there is
Do you
discrimination in this
Let's
level, we
continue.
already have
Okay,
regulations
let's continue.
that we can
You're
revoke
saying-
these licenses
Yes,
or
nice.
this.
I understand.
Okay.
You're saying that there's a tendency for foreigners to abuse land, and therefore it will be not beneficial to the Filipino people. That's correct.
There is the tendency
You're saying
of
that.
especially an ownership
You're saying-
that is you are
Yes,
that
yes,
you are
no.
already proposing.
Yes, no? You're
Yes.
saying there's a tendency to abuse,
Yes,
right?
that's why we don't want
And
ownership
you
to
cite
happen because
even-
abuse will really happen.
You cite Ethiopia, right?
Okay.
And I think this is speculation because are you aware of India? You're aware of India.
What are you talking about speculation? I hope you did
That's
your
why.
assignment.
No,
and
that's
read
why.
this.
That's why I'm asking you.
Read
Are
this
you
facts.
nice? Are you
Okay.
aware that India in 2005 allowed foreigners to own its private lands? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
You're
So
not
your
aware.
point is-
Now, are you aware, in addition, that since then, $25 billion increase
Are you aware of
in
what
their,
is happening in China
no,
or in Ethiopia?
right? Guys, you have to
Okay.
be responsive to my question. There's
I am being
increase in
responsive.
India's real estate sector to $25 billion after they open their lands
The,
to
the
ownership
largest
Nice.
the largest economy.
Do you understand?
Let's now hear from the third affirmative speaker, Joran. You've got 4 minutes to tell us why it would be practicable to let foreigners own land in the country.
Your Honors, speakers on the negative side, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The arguments raised by the non-beneficiality are mere apprehension and untenable. 3 grounds to debunk their claims. First ground, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia are major game players in terms of FDI. The common denominator among those countries, they allow foreign ownership. Second ground, This will definitely give us a better footing in the international arena. For foreigners will come into the Philippines to invest. And please listen to this one. I have one strong point to kill your proposition. And this was even highlighted by one of our judges earlier. With regard to unfitting use and even discrimination, that can easily be cured by passing a law that was actually ventured in our Constitution, Article 6, the legislative power. Your Honors, let me now advance my constructive speech. Your Honors, the need of allowing foreigners to own lands in the Philippines has been expressly stressed by our necessity speaker. Our second speaker also provided the benefits. This time, I am going to argue that this can be done. The process is very practicable and it's constitutional. Your Honors, it is practicable for foreigners to own land in the Philippines based on three reasonable grounds. First, the restricted constitutional provision can be amended. Second, the legislative power has the power to create laws. And third, clamor exists as to initiate foreign ownership. Your Honor, the Constitution, being the basic and primordial law which all other laws must abide, must not be static. Your Honor, allow me to utilize one of my favorite characters in the movie. The genius of the Constitution is for it to be changed. The Constitution itself provides its process for it to be dynamic. Article 16, Section 1 of the 1987 Constitution provides that if in case we need to change it, we have the option to either amend it or to revise it. This is pertaining to Sections 2, 3, 7, 10, and 11 of Article 12 and Sections 19 and 20 of Article 2. Those are not ironclad rules. Those can be amended. How? Yes, Your Honors.
Mr. Speaker, you are aware that the 1987 Constitution is 30 years old, close to 30 years old. So doesn't that indicate that even if it can be changed, there is a resistance to it or a reluctance to do it?
Thank you for your I understand your concern, Your Honor. Allow me to utilize that one. That is correct. It has been existing for 30 years now. And unfortunately, it is no longer answering to the common needs, to the specific needs of the society. Would you allow me to proceed, Your Honors? So going back to my speech, Your Honors, those can be amended. How? By the inclusion of the words "unless otherwise provided by law." Those will no longer become restrictive. How can we do this? This can be practically done by asking the Senate and the House of Representatives by going through a constituent assembly. This is to propose the amendments, 3/4 votes of the separate houses voting separately. After that one, this will be approved by the people through a plebiscite, and once amended, this will also apply to PD 1529, which governs the land registration. Very easy, right? Second, Your Honors, let me proceed to my second point. We have the legislative power. We have the ability to create laws, and we are proposing to provide parameters. First parameter: if a foreigner is able to purchase land in the Philippines, they should be able to utilize the land within 1 year from the time of purchase. Second, if in case they fail to comply to the said parameter, the state has the ability to escheat the said land and have it part of the patrimonial property of the state. Definitely, the control is within us. Let me proceed to my third point, Your Honor. Clamor exists as to the initiative of allowing foreign ownership. Your Honors, there is a pending bill provided to the House of Representatives with regard to this one. Even our current administration, we are gearing towards economic growth, and this is about foreign investors. There was even a plan to change the current...
Okay. 2 minutes now for the cross-examination.
Good evening, Counsel.
Hello, good evening.
Counsel, you're familiar with Commonwealth Act
Of course,
141,
yes.
correct? You're also familiar with the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, correct?
Yes.
So you would agree with me that the intent behind these legislations is to redistribute land to Filipinos, correct? And that these are actually said legislations, okay? Then, Counsel, would you agree with me that at the present, despite the law and jurisprudence supporting the system of redistributing of lands to Filipinos, there is still some struggle as to its implementation?
You just said there is a struggle.
Correct. Because there is difficulty in enforcing the law against the oligarchs,
That
right?
is why we can
Own these vast tracts of land. Yes or no, Counsel? Yes, thank you.
No.
Correct. But Counsel,
I'm gonna
isn't
answer
it
for
true
myself.
as well that despite this difficulty,
You're
there still
representing.
exists public clamor for CARP to be implemented fully?
Yes.
Correct. Very good. Now,
But that is
Counsel,
not even
is land in our country an unlimited resource?
Yes, of
Of
course.
course not, because we both know land does not grow on trees. It's limited and scarce as a resource,
But
right?
it is enough.
And you are
actually,
aware
to
that
cover
as of
everything.
present, we have 5.4 million arable hectares of agricultural
And what's your
land.
point?
And you are aware that our country's population is estimated
Oh,
at
I'm
to be
sorry,
at
what is your
102
question?
million. Just
Uh,
answer yes or no.
Are
you aware?
You're giving me
Yes,
facts.
it's a
You're giving
question.
illustration.
Are you aware of that fact?
Yes,
Then
of
yes,
course.
thank you. That's very easy. Let's do a little math then. Just
Let's go
assuming
ahead.
we divide all the distributable land by our current population, do you know how much that would be per person? That would only be 0.08 hectares
But
per
do they
person.
have the
Now
capacity
let's
to-
imagine that we allow ownership of
Right.
land by foreigners. Of course, when these foreigners come in desiring to purchase land, they are bound to have capital, correct? They're bound to have lots of capital, correct? And these foreign companies,
Which
when
the
they come
Filipinos
in, they
doesn't
would
have.
usually
That's the
need
problem
vast
there.
lands of
What will happen
vast
to the
tracts of
land?
land, correct?
It will just
But
be
they need
veto.
vast tracts of land when they come in, correct? Alright,
Okay,
that's
you're answering
correct.
for
Because
myself, okay.
whether their intent is to use the land for agricultural or industrial purposes, they would need at
But
least
this is a
from
long
10,
discussion,
20,000
okay? No question at all, okay?
hectares. So, Council, under
that's okay,
your
I'll
model,
listen to your
are you
discussion.
telling me that you expect
Okay, thank
ordinary
you for the
Filipino
discussion.
farmers to compete with
guys.
foreign entities?
Emiko, it's time now for you to advance your argument on why it would not be practical to let foreigners own land in the country.
The problem with affirmative side, Your Honors, is that they argue numbers in a vacuum. They act as if these FDIs mean everything and that the benefits of these foreign direct investments trickle down to the people of this country on the ground. But no such argument coming from them. The best semblance of a benefit that we can get, which trickles down to the people, is partnership agreements or technology transfers. But we ask the question, if these foreigners become owners of these lands, what is their incentive to share their technologies when they themselves already own the land? What is their incentive to share it to the Filipino people if they have full control and ownership of these lands? No analysis as to that. But secondly, we notice that their main argument is that the lack of ownership is the main deterrent. But there's no distinction whatsoever as to what's the difference between ownership and access and use, which we have been continually forwarding from the negative side. That you can improve access and use without having to cede ownership. Yes.
Madam Speaker, isn't it true that if foreign investors come to the Philippines and buy lands, the multiplier effect will take effect? And people will have more jobs. If they have more jobs, then they will have more money to buy things for their own need.
Well, that may be true, Your Honor. The problem with the multiplier effect is that as much as these foreigners buy more lands, it also means that there is also limited availability of the lands to be bought by our Filipinos. So at the end of the day, even if you give them jobs, even if you give them wages to buy lands, what land is there to be left if all the foreigners with greater purchasing power are able to own the lands in our own country? That is the problem with the scenario that the affirmative side is presenting. Now, the policy is impracticable as it runs counter to existing policies which put premium on Filipino ownership. Consistent with our constitutionally enshrined principle of preserving national patrimony, we have since time immemorial tried our best to redistribute lands to Filipinos. And we agree that our programs are not perfect. In fact, if you look at Hacienda Luisita, there is still a public clamor to redistribute these lands exactly because the oligarchs have possession of these lands. Now, the problem, if you allow affirmative side's proposition, is that aside from competing with these oligarchs in court in order to enforce these decisions, what happens now is that our Filipinos have to compete against these foreigners in our own land in order to own our own land. The irony is that as a country, we allow foreign direct investments to come in. But the question then becomes, what is left to the Filipino people on the ground in terms for them to be able to develop their own properties? So this is the situation that we are trying to avoid coming from negative side, and there's been no response coming from affirmative side. In the end, Your Honors, the question is not an issue about which model brings more economic gains because both models present that possibility. Like we already said, China is also applicable because before China became a first world country, it was a third world country. And even then, from that beginning, China never allowed foreign ownership of their land. China owns all of its land and it only leases its properties to Apple, for example. And we know that Apple's factories are biggest in China. So we know then that ownership of land is not the only consideration. It is a primary consideration, but there are other means to attract investors learning from China's model without having to compromise our own national patrimony and integrity. This debate, at the end of the day, is an assessment of what we as a nation should value. Must we value progress at the cost of our nation? Or can we value progress and at the same time uphold our national patrimony, our national integrity? We from the negative side believe that we shouldn't have to choose between these two values. Because if you can have partnership agreements, technology transfers, together with these theses, then why not do so? Thank you.
2 minutes for the cross-examination.
Hello, good evening, Emiko. Alright, let me ask you this question. I believe you're very much your proposition states that foreign ownership is unconstitutional. Restrictive provisions, will it allow? Yes or no?
It's so easy
Yes
for
or
you
no?
to say that
Yes,
if you
yes, sir.
amend it, but you
Yes,
haven't
it's
even
not
proven
responsive.
that there's
Yes or
public
no?
clamor to
Yes,
amend it. And
yes.
I've already
Yes,
said in my
yes,
speech that
yes
there's
or
public
no?
clamor
Please
to
answer.
own
You're not
our
being
own
responsive.
land.
Yes or no?
No.
Oh, you need to do a homework on your Article 17. Let's move on. Are you familiar with Article 6?
Of course.
That provides the legislative power. Am I correct?
Yes.
Let's point out your problem and regulate. Yes
In an
or no?
ideal world,
Can we regulate?
we have
Yes,
to
we can.
respond to our
That's what I'm
realistic
saying.
argumentation
We can
on
regulate it.
ownership.
We can amend the law. Therefore, it is possible. Therefore, this can be done. Thank you and good evening.
And with that, we end the debate proper. We now invite both sides to cross the House as our judges tally the scores. We'll bring you the results next. Please stay tuned. Square Off, Season 13, the Firm Debates will be right back. Who do you think is the best speaker? You have the power to choose. Go to our Facebook page and vote for your choice for tonight's best speaker. Choose now and vote wisely. Who do you think is the best speaker? You have the power to choose. Go to our Facebook page and vote for your choice for tonight's best speaker. Choose now and vote wisely. Let's now hear what our judges have to say about the debaters. Attorney Ramos, how did the affirmative side, the University of San Jose Recoletos, do tonight?
Congratulations to the affirmative team. You were able to provide good statistics, and I admire your passion.
And Attorney Pilapil, how did the negative side, the Ateneo de Davao University, do?
See, at first impression, the negative side might seem like they have the advantage in the law here, but it will look like eventually the debate will wear on and you will realize that you actually have a very tough position and you were able to defend it well. So congratulations, you guys did very good.
Who won? We'll tell you next. Please stay tuned. Square Off, Season 13, the Firm Debates will be right back. Welcome back to Square Off, the Firm Debates, and now let's hear from our chief adjudicator, Judge Samadan. Who did the judges pick for best speaker?
We had a hard time choosing speaker, but after consulting with my co-judges, the best speaker is from the negative side, Madam Emiko Escovilla. Congratulations.
And Your Honor, the school that won tonight's debate.
I'd like to congratulate first both teams for coming well prepared with all your data, with all your research. But the team which came with a more compelling presentation is from the negative side. Congratulations, Ateneo de Davao University College of Law.
A big congratulations to the Ateneo de Davao University for winning the first quarter final round of Square Off Season 13, the Firm Debates. We hope to see you all again next week. I'm Mike Yoreta. Thank you for watching.